Yes, Ray.
We're talking about fear today.
Ah! Was that a fearful scream?
That was a very fearful scream. And how owners use fear to block growth. Boy, is this a big topic.
Oh, this hits right home before I even started this company, let alone many times while I have owned the company.
I've told a number of fellow business owners who are just about ready to go on their own, every great work is preceded by at least 3 minutes of sheer terror.
Just 3 minutes?
At least 3 minutes.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fear over the years. And taking that leap of faith in yourself is probably the biggest jump I've ever made in my professional career.
Whether we're talking to people who are about to go and start their business, or they're already running it, and some need for change is on the horizon. Change is hard.
Change is very hard. It affects everybody differently. And that catalyst that creates the fear is going to be different for every person.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to my sister a lot of the time, and she says, I could never do what you do in owning your own company and trying to provide not only for yourself, but for the people that work for you. She says, I like the power of a paycheck. Don't we all? But behind that power of a paycheck is a business owner that has gone through a world of fear and upward battles and everything else, because paycheck's a paycheck, and an owner provides that paycheck usually through their due diligence over time. The company she works for has been around almost 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure my company, when it's around for 50 years, it's going to be seen more as the power of the paycheck. Oh, you need to work there. But I'm able to provide for many people, including myself.
You know, it's interesting that it was framed as the power of a paycheck. Power can be used to either steer a ship or to keep it anchored.
Yes. And I think when I originally started the company, my fear was the fear of success.
How so?
The fear of success meaning what happens when you actually make this work. Now you have to provide that service. You have to continue to provide that good service so that you can continue to grow. And sometimes people see that even working up in an organization, that they really want a job, but when they are offered that job, the fear of how am I going to be able to do that? What happens if I'm not good enough? And I think that was the biggest fear initially for me was, am I going to be good enough? You were one of the people that kept prodding me, telling me, hey, you got to start your own business. And I kept saying, oh, these are the reasons why I don't want to do it, until I was unemployed and couldn't get a job because everybody wanted me to start an entry-level position. And I said, well, if I'm going to do that, I'll start my own business. That was the fear. I needed to eat. I had no job. Unemployment ran out. There was nothing. I had to start a business. And I sold what I knew, which is the cleaning industry. I was able to get a few accounts and things over the course of time. It wasn't a great amount of work the first year, but by the second year, I was like, wow, we have almost $100,000 worth of business. I know that there's people out there listening right now that have been in business 10 years that hardly have that much business. And I really put my nose to the grindstone to be able to be successful. And then a fear of losing control, which is some of the different growth points in your business, is you have to then release some of the work and trust somebody else is going to do that.
Talking to the owner who's listening now, or the would-be owner who's listening now, what is your counsel in overcoming the fear in hiring a coach?
The fear of hiring a coach. I've been through that myself. Why was I afraid of hiring a coach? Because I was afraid, one, of the financial responsibility. And I said, wow, if I spend this much money on a coach, then I'm not going to have that money to put back into my company. Well, hello, you are investing in your company by investing in yourself.
Right.
And that money, if you take the coaching to heart, you're going to more than double that money in the long run. You should be 100-fold, 200, even 1,000-fold if you do the things and give yourself an honest assessment of yourself through your coach. So that's one of the fears. The other thing was facing the things I didn't want to face, facing some deep down fears, or looking and judging books by the cover, so to say, without asking the proper questions of either clients or staff or whatever in order to grow the business. Maybe early on for me was I didn't want somebody to do something because I thought I could do it the best. And I was afraid somebody was going to do it better. But by somebody doing what they're better at allows me to do things that I'm better at.
Right. And how about not over-managing the employee? Managing a team takes time. You have to trust those people, so that fear of trust. How do you find now that you have a larger team and someone who is in direct contact with that team far more than you? You've beaten this fear to death.
And that was a big fear too. I was afraid because it's my reputation. It was my neck that was always out there. So I felt that I had to be the one involved. I had to have the final say that something was okay. And I had to be able to trust the people that I hired for those positions to do the jobs that I hired them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how having a systems of checks and balances and touching base throughout the day and the evening, still allowing them some slack and not having them, micromanaged.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to micromanage people because when you do that, you destroy their self-worth and they become unmotivated. And there was a book I read many years ago that I've read several times called Heroes. That book talks about how to talk to people so that they're empowered to do more. And that is how you have to overcome that fear, is you have to trust people are going to do the jobs that they're hired for and motivate the people that work for them the same way that you're motivating them.
In bringing this episode to a close, I want to speak specifically to that small business owner. There are some things that they would like to accomplish. They would like to grow their business, but this thing is in the way. This fear about loss of control, spending money that they don't think that they have, hearing answers that might be very challenging to them personally and they don't want. Folks, if that is you, it is time to get over yourself. I'm sorry.
I think you had that conversation with me.
There might have been one of those.
One or more.
Joel, I remember our first conversation around this and your response, I can't possibly do this myself.
I was semi-right. I couldn't do this by myself. I need a team around me in order to do what I'm doing. But I had to get over the fear of starting and becoming successful so that I could hire people and hire those that now run the business while I manage the business.
So listener, if you're ready to get your business where it ought to be rather than where it is, contact Joel. Joel, thank you.
You're welcome.